So, disastrous story today for Donald Trump's first ordered raid. So he did this over the weekend. And in fact, President Obama had actually vetted this raid in Yemen. It was on a Al-Qaeda, it's called AQAP headquarters in Yemen. Now, they don't have a headquarters where it's a designed building, but you get intelligence that, hey, this is the compound where we think they're held up. Now, that part of it was correct because it turns out when they landed, they met fierce resistance, and there was a terrible gunfight that I'm going to tell you about, and we lost one of our own. But Obama didn't order the raid because he thought they didn't have enough intelligence yet. Now, that's according to intelligence officials that are now obviously part of the U.S. government and the Trump administration, and we're going to give you quotes from them in a second. Donald Trump came in and ordered it right away. Maybe he thought he was taking decisive action, but there's a reason why you need to prepare. So, now let me give you the story from Reuters. U.S. Navy SEAL William Ryan Owens was killed in the raid on a branch of Al-Qaeda, also known as AQAP, in Al-Baida province in Yemen, which the Pentagon said also killed 14 militants. However, medics at the scene said about 30 people, including 10 women and children, were killed. That number now is quoted as 15 women and children that were killed. So that is, of course, a tragedy if you're carrying a decent person. On the other hand, Donald Trump promised that he would kill family members of people he thought were terrorists. So maybe he's living up to that. In fact, we have a terrible update on that story in a second that we'll share with you. U.S. Central Command, according to Reuters, said in a statement that an investigation team had concluded, regrettably, that civilian non-combatants were likely killed during Sunday's raid. It said the children may have been among the casualties. Now, usually U.S. Central Command is more reserved than that, and they'll say, hey, we'll see, we're not sure if civilians were killed. Here, they're coming out fairly quickly and saying, no, we're pretty sure they were, including the children. Now, you're going to see from Sean Spicer that they don't seem to care too much about that at the White House. But remember, one of our own guys were killed. So now, inside officials. This is very interesting. U.S. military officials told Reuters that Trump approved his first covert counterterrorism operation without sufficient intelligence, ground support, or adequate backup preparations. As a result, 3 officials said the attacking SEAL team found itself dropping onto a reinforced Al-Qaeda base defended by landmines, snipers, and a larger than expected contingent of heavily armed Islamist extremists. Now, this is very relevant in a number of ways. First of all, if it is true, it is devastating, and this is exactly what we warned you about: incompetence, hubris. We talked about it on the show over and over again. We talked about it on the show just yesterday. That's that if you stumble into military action without being fully prepared, you're going to get people killed. And that's what happened here. Now, these are inside officials in the military saying, hey, he got our guy killed here because he didn't prepare. Now, right-wingers might turn around now and go, now I don't believe the military. Before I prayed to the military, I worshiped the military, I said the military and the generals knew everything, but now I'm going to turn around and say I just don't believe the military. But even if you don't believe the military, it's interesting here that those military officials are leaking to the press, going, Trump screwed up here. So at a bare minimum, you have significant dissension already inside the government, and we're only 10 days in. So that's a big story. The third part of it that's big is, imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and there were military officials saying Obama didn't prepare, and because of that, one of our Navy SEALs got killed, let alone all those civilians and all those kids. What would the Republicans do? They would do hearings for years. They would do one Benghazi hearing after another after another. In this case, they, put a name on it, Al-Baida. They'd be like, Al-Baida, never forget Al-Baida. When Trump got our SEAL killed, he got him killed, he got him killed, he got him killed. And in this case, they actually have military officials saying, no, that's true. He didn't prepare. We went in there and it was a mess. There was landmines. There was incredible gunfight, and that's how Owens got killed. But you know how uneven a playing field there is in Washington. The Republicans would scream about it for years on end. Democrats probably won't even raise their voice. There won't be any peep heard from them. There won't be any hearings, and likely they'll just drop it. So it's a tragedy in every way. And if they really got some of the bad guys, of course, that's a great thing. And they say they've got a good amount of information from the raid. I hope that's true. But William Ryan Owens has passed away in service of his country, and several others were injured, by the way, when one of the copters crashed. And remember when Jimmy Carter was trying to do a rescue mission in Iran and the copters crashed and everybody was like, Jimmy Carter, incompetent, weak, we knew it. So where's all the talk of Trump's incompetence and weakness as we lost one of our own here? Now, finally, I want to talk to you about one of the civilians, one of the kids that was killed. The military officials who spoke to Reuters on condition of anonymity said a brutal firefight killed Owens and at least 15 Yemeni women and children. One of the dead was the 8-year-old daughter of Anwar al-Awlaki, a militant killed by a 2011 U.S. drone strike. That is a coincidence so large, I can't believe it. That is amazing. I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be a coincidence. I don't know why they'd want to kill this 8-year-old girl. Oh, for God, look at her. So she was just 8. Somebody wrote to me today that she's so cute. And the reality is she was cute. Anwar al-Awlaki is now dead. And maybe if they'd prepared better, they would have known how many women and children were there. But now the amazing story of the al-Awlakis is that her dad was a U.S. citizen born in New Mexico, Anwar al-Awlaki. He turned into a radical preacher. The Obama administration, even though he was a U.S. citizen, executed him without any due process or trial. They did a drone strike and they killed him. Now, people say, hey, you didn't complain when Obama did. That's not remotely true. I complained very, very loudly. We said, that's a U.S. citizen. You can't kill him without trial, but we did. But I don't know if you know this. We also killed Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, his 16-year-old son. We said, oops, that was an accident on a completely different bombing, not the same bombing. So his dad is killed even though he's a U.S. citizen. The 16-year-old son also killed, also a U.S. citizen. Now in a third separate action, the 8-year-old daughter, by the way, her dad is a citizen. By definition, she's also a U.S. citizen. A third U.S. citizen killed. No due process. None of that. And amazingly, they're going around killing the family members of al-Awlaki all across Yemen in all these different actions. That's unbelievable. And if you care about due process and you care about U.S. citizens not being killed, you would grieve today for William Ryan Owens and Anwar al-Awlaki. She does not have the sins of her father. She was just 8 years old. And now, finally, let me show you Sean Spicer bragging about this. Yeah, all these things went wrong. Doesn't seem to bother the Trump administration at all. Watch.
I would go back to what I said yesterday. It's hard to ever call something a complete success when you have the loss of life or people injured. But I think when you look at the totality of what was gained to prevent the future loss of life here in America, and against our people and our institutions and probably throughout the world in terms of what some of these individuals could have done, I think it is a successful operation by all standards.
A successful operation by all standards. Show me William Ryan Owens one more time. Now, if you'd prepared a little bit better, maybe it would have been a little bit more successful and he wouldn't have gotten killed. And show me Anwar one last time. And you're telling me that this is a successful operation by all standards? What kind of a monster thinks that? The monsters that are in the White House. Get the full 2-hour show ad-free. Become a member, tytnetwork.com/join.